Now we'll finish with a few minutes of questions and answers. I know I kept you a little bit longer. Raise your electronic hand and then you will unmute yourself, and I'll try to do my best to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay, for those of us, if there's anyone else who has osteoporosis and has had spinal compression fractures, I have plenty of rollers. You know, I have a soft one, I have a hard one. I have not laid on them since that happened. And I'm wondering if it's going to compromise my spine to lie on a softer roller.
What I would do is more of the softer roller than hard. Usually, as you know, in osteoporosis, we are more concerned about the flexion component, forward bending. That's put risks on the compression of the spinal column and making them more vulnerable. What the lying on the tube does is more of the restoring extension, more of the postural straightening. So it should not pose a risk. It's not changing. It's not making you arch tremendously or collapse. I would say if you haven't done it, start with a very small tube, maybe rolled beach towel of that size, just like a small size, and then line it up. So your shoulders don't need to be so off the floor. They'll be still touching the floor, but you will have the little tube there.
Okay, I understand that. I'm wondering about the actual pressure on the bones, because even lying down on the floor, you know, I can feel things shifting, but I guess the shifting's okay, right?
No, lying on the back should be a safe thing. What we're mostly concerned is sudden sneezes, big movement of head forward and down, sit-ups, bending forward rapidly. So those are more vulnerable movements. But it's a good point that for people who sometimes we see that there are a number of people who, when first lie down, feel a little achy or painful, that it takes a minute or two to kind of decompress and give into the floor. And therefore, for them, the idea of starting right away lying on the roller may be too much. So if you're finding that lying on the back is the challenge and it takes you 5 or 10 minutes to get ready to kind of let go and to even straighten your legs, definitely I would do that part, making yourself comfortable lying on the flat surface way before you try the tube, because the tube will even highlight that discomfort.
That makes sense. And of course, I also have the adjustment, the pain getting up from the floor, but once I'm up, you know, it works its way out. My audio was fine. Loved the lesson. Look forward to the rest of it. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome. Thank you, Nikki, for a good question. Hanya?
Oh, it's another question. Does the fact that the shoulders are forward have to do only with the pectorals being tight, or it could be more because the back muscles are not working in the right way?
It's usually both. And also we have fascia, that there may be some shortening of the fascial tissues in the front and excessive elongation in the back. So definitely we are going to work on strengthening the muscles of the back through lessons when we continue working with rolling onto the stomach part. Eventually what we're going to do is we will be rolling 360 degrees or working on fragments of that rolling to make our system capable of getting the head out of the way, shoulders out of the way, in any place you are. I had this idea of the tube, like I was thinking, what's the ideal spinal alignment or close to the ideal of, it's of course, if it's an axis, as close to an axis, because all the rotations of the body happen around the axis throughout the cervical, thoracic, lumbar vertebra. And therefore this idea of we're going to do more of the tube. more of rolling and rolling in many different ways. With some of it is also inspired by baby development, because babies curves start by activities like lying on the stomach and picking up the head. Initially, babies actually arch more of the place where most of us adults struggle to arch, the middle back. Yeah, for most of us, we have the head slumping forward, shoulders coming forward, excessive thoracic extension, the thoracic flexion, sorry, kyphosis. And we compensated for it with excessive lumbar movements. I'll try to straighten myself, push my shoulders back, but actually what I do, I protrude my belly and create the thoracic lumbar extension rather than thoracic extension. When you look at babies, when they start with the legs up in the air, so there is no any pushing of the floor. And their spine, the pelvis is flat, lumbar spine is fully on the ground. They don't even have curves. And they start with movements of the head, rolling, side bending, bending back, reaching for toys, and gradually rolling over, but without actually lumbar curve. So we'll get through. In session 2, we'll have a number of differentiations between introducing thoracic extension without the lumbar spine.
Yeah, well, I've been there, as you well know. And what I notice is that I really have to pay attention where my shoulder blades are, so that I can keep the best possible position.
Yeah, strength is important, undeniable.
That it's not just that. In fact, probably the pectoral muscles are not that tight anymore. It's just where I keep my shoulder blades.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it still takes the conscious brain to do it.
So. Of course.
Okay.
Understood.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great. You can also email me if you have questions, or use our learning platform with comments, and I usually check it about once a week, and I reply to the comments. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for nice practicing, and I hope to see you next time.